What's going on, everybody? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate it. This episode, I get to sit down with just a truly cool dude that wants to share his passion and love for skateboarding with the rest of the world. And he just so happens to be a deputy. And that's not the most important part of him, though. The most important part of him, though, is the fact that what he's doing to build community, to build a sense of purpose, a sense of purpose regarding skating, skateboarding, and teaching the youth, coaching and mentoring the youth, and just being out there in the community and being a positive role model for everybody around him. And again, oh yeah, he just so happens to be a deputy. So this is Mr. Zac Rand, and he's here in Arizona, in Glendale. And he's also, you can find him on Instagram at Kickflips and Donuts. So super great dude. We sit down and we talk about everything regarding his passion, regarding skateboarding, and how it has brought him together in the community. A very little backstory about his military service, but, you know, kind of a foundation about what led him to wanting to serve to something greater than himself. So I really enjoyed meeting Zac. He was a great guy. And this is exactly the type of person that I'm trying to highlight on this podcast and to show about bridging the gap in the community between law enforcement and the community as a whole. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Please leave me some feedback if you'd like. I can reach me on Instagram, YouTube, and all the fun stuff. And please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
All right, he threw some things out of the car. We're right there. He's throwing some things out the passenger side. They're along the wall, the slow lane wall. 619, he's throwing dope out the window. We got bales of marijuana coming out.
619, I copy bales of marijuana coming out of the window at 2328.
Anyway, so yeah, no, let's get started. So welcome. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
If you would mind just giving yourself a brief little introduction, who you are. And
I'm Zac Rand. I'm a deputy here in Arizona. I'm in my 30s. I've been in law enforcement. Well, we'll start from the beginning. I grew up in Glendale, Arizona area. Went in the military. Spent about 6.5 years active, and then the rest of the time in the reserves.
What branch?
Army.
Okay.
Army. I was an infantry guy.
I'll talk slow.
What's that?
I'll talk slowly.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
No, yeah, I ended up in the reserves just to continue my service, especially when all that stuff with Syria and stuff like that was happening.
Okay.
But the reserves, it's night and day difference from what active duty service was like. So yeah, I did my short change over there and
try to keep the mic right in front of you.
Did my short change over there and ended it from there, and then fell in a law enforcement cot with my agency in 2016.
Okay.
2016. So we're sitting at about 7 years. Did short time in the jails prior to going and hitting the streets.
You got hired. Did you get hired straight in as a deputy, or have to go that route
I went
first?
to the detention route, because at the time that I got into law enforcement, everybody was trying to be, getting into law enforcement.
Gotcha.
And I remember I actually tested with Phoenix PD before my agency, and I remember doing really well on the written and the physical, and getting my background packet sent to me through email. Filled it out, and they're like, yeah, once it's complete, just drop it off downtown, and it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months before we can schedule you. And now, I mean, you look at any agency, they're fighting.
Yeah.
They're grinding at the teeth to try to get people in those seats for the academy.
I've talking to my other friends, the retention right now is so low, and trying to find quality people is ridiculous.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
absolutely. And the whole retention thing, or just bringing people in, it sucks, because there's a lot of guys that I've served with that, a couple people that come to mind particularly that have a crazy impressive resume through the military, guys that I've literally gone to war with, and they apply for some of these agencies and they get turned away, and then my time as an FTO, seeing some people come in. I mean, it's everybody's. I'm sure that's an FTO has stories of some questionable recruits, but I mean,
I bet my FTO, and for those who don't know, FTO is field training officer. So I bet my FTO looked at me like I'm a functioning idiot at some point in time. Like we all started off at some point in time.
I think that's normal once you kind of get used to everything and the bearings behind, what it takes to be a law enforcement officer, find your own niche. But
just so we're very, very clear, you're not here as a representative of your department. You just happen to work for MCSO.
Yeah, I won't even leave my agency's name out of it. That way nothing comes back. And there's nothing, I'm very honored and fortunate to work for the agency that I do.
Yeah.
So,
And you are, and the way that I found you and the way that I saw you was the fact that you have an online presence. So, and we'll get into that in a minute. So, but it also ties into your job as a deputy.
Yeah.
As far as community service goes, what led you to law enforcement?
Grew up in a military law enforcement heavy family. My grandfather, he was actually, I mean, he's bounced around to a couple different agencies, and one of, off the top of my head, 3 agencies that he was with, because he climbed the ranks all the way to the top.
Okay. Here in Arizona?
Here in Arizona.
Okay.
And one of them being the agency that I'm with.
Okay.
So I kind of always looked at him as, somebody that I looked up to growing up. So, following his footsteps, that's kind of how I paved, my future of my life. So that's how I ended up in there. I always knew that I wanted to do something bigger than myself, and I did that with the military, and wanted to take that time and everything and that and effort and all that from serving my country to serving the community that I live in.
That's the one thing the message that I try to convey. And again, for the people who are not law enforcement, because not my target audience is not just law enforcement, but it's that civil servant heart. Mm-hmm. It's that it's hard to describe and it's hard to explain. Like, why would you go and, do military and then law enforcement? Like, there's no money in it. It's not about money. It's about serving other people. It's about doing good for the community and making connections.
I'll say right now, I mean, financially, I'm a lot better off than I was when I was in the military.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
No, I love what I do. I love, getting to meet new people every single day. And I think I would go crazy in an office job because, everything, is listed out or whatever. I mean, every day you come to work, it's something new.
Yeah.
It's something new. So.
What is in your function now? Are you in patrol?
I'm patrol.
Okay. So you had tested for a couple things, but just manpower issues and all that stuff?
Yeah. I tested for a few different specialties, did really well. Just where we're at with manpower and everything, it was just kind of, sit by the phone and wait. And, unfortunately, just due to where staffing is now with law enforcement, you're not able to get in those places. So I decided to come up with my own thing.
People don't understand the fact that, and I said, we're not talking politics or anything like that, but when you start taking money away from agencies and all that, it's the specialty units that are hit the hardest. It's the detectives that are hit the hardest. Patrol has to still be out there answering calls, answering 911 calls. And it's you can't move people into those specialty positions because you don't have either the funding or the manpower, or just people don't want to do the job right now. That appears to be the biggest thing that I've seen from the outside looking in is nobody wants to do this job anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they can't entice people with, and the pay, oh my Lord. I said I was out in 2017 to now. I said, even looking at my previous agency, it's almost double what it was when I left.
Wow.
Like it was a huge increase. And again, like they still just can't find people for any agency. So now you do, again, so you're in patrol and you're in the large Phoenix metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. So on the lines of the community service and all that, you're here because you skateboard.
Yeah.
And it's pretty badass. Like you're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So I'm not a skateboarder. I'm the kid that, I'd put my knee on it and try to
Scoot
pedal
around.
Yeah, that was about all I did. But now how did you get into the skateboarding side of things?
So I started skating when I was 6. Again, growing up mostly in like the Glendale area. Wasn't that great of it. Didn't grow up in too great of a neighborhood. But me and my cousin, we'd always roll around on like those old school big wheels.
Okay.
And there's some older kids down the street, and one day one of them came over, had like this busted beaded board, and was just like, hey, ditch the, a lot of what like, older skaters do for kids on scooters. You don't want to see them on a scooter. You want to put them on a skateboard and get them going. But, gave me my first board. I remember it was a blind. And this thing was just choppy, like no nose or tail, stress cracks throughout the whole thing, barely rolled. But, to me, it was new.
Right.
And, I just spent every second that I could on that thing. And, once you start learning tricks and all that other stuff, it just becomes a part of you. So I skated from 6 all the way up until, 17.
Okay.
Yeah. And, unfortunately I had to put the board aside because of the time that I went into the military, things were still hopping and popping overseas.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, there's no time to skate when I was in the military. There wasn't even time to think about skateboarding. I think I stepped on a board one time while I was in the Army.
Gotcha.
Got out, got in. Well, actually went to school as well. Got my degree in administrative justice studies, and yeah, never. I kind of paid a little bit of attention to skateboarding, but definitely didn't skate. And yeah, it was up until a couple years ago that I got back into it. And at first, it was really rough. It was ugly, trying to find and fight and balance and get that equilibrium and all that stuff back. Because when I went in the military, I was like 145, 150 pounds, and the Army gave me the whole Captain America effect. I went in. I remember when I went through MEPS. Again, I was like 145, 150, and I got out at like 220.
Okay.
So, yeah, just finding that balance, and tricks started coming back, and obviously you got to be a little bit more cautious. I'm not throwing myself down like huge stair sets or gaps or anything like that. But I'm still having fun with it, getting to interact with kids. And
we're not spring chickens anymore. I'm older than you.
No, I have to roll my feet out every single day. Like
Gotcha.
my feet, like I'll go skate for like 2 hours, and then it's for some reason it's my feet and like my hips and lower back. Definitely got to pay a little bit more attention. Yeah, like you said, we're not springy anymore.
Well, and again, I'm 9 weeks post spinal fusion surgery.
Oh, wow.
So I just had my spine fused, and it's a direct correlation to, and my agency wasn't allowed to wear the outer vest.
Yeah.
So, everything was the old school Sam Brown belt, and had everything on my lumbar spine. And I would like die if I tried to do anything like that right now.
Yeah.
You got to limber up before you get out there.
Yeah. So stretching and hydrating, two things that I definitely didn't do when I was younger.
Right.
I incorporate now.
So where has the skateboarding aspect of it taken you? Because you're amateur, you're semi-pro, amateur.
I'm amateur. I just skate for fun nowadays, more so like whatever platform that I build with Kickflips and Donuts. Any kids that I come across or that contact me, if I could do anything to help elevate those kids' career, the kids that have the potential, that are still young, that are, because where skateboarding is now to where it was when I was a kid it's night and day. It's crazy.
How so?
Like the level of tricks, the whole technical side of everything. You got, I remember when I was a kid going to like Rio Vista Skate Park in Peoria, or Thunderbird, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's got a different name for it. If you kickflip the 10 stair there, that puts you at the top of the food chain.
Okay.
Now, like 11, 12 years of not going there and going there, again, and everything looks smaller. That's the nice thing about growing up and getting bigger. But you're seeing like an 8-year-old kid that's, doing like throwing down on this thing. That's like, what? Like, nobody, at 8 years old back in the day was even thinking about anything like that. They're still learning how to push. And nowadays, you got young kids that are just completely just shredding.
Has the technology of the boards advanced any differently?
I think for the most part, I still skate some of the stuff that, I skated a lot of shop decks and stuff like that. I didn't come from like a family of money or anything like that. And, some older guys and stuff like that definitely took care of me. So, I still skate somewhat of the same type of boards that I skated when I was younger. But as far as like technology, I mean, they got like the carbon fiber like layers and stuff like that, and make the boards lighter and all that. But I think for the most part, what makes it easier for kids nowadays is like, YouTube. YouTube was like kind of barely taking off like towards the end of like my time in high school. Like if you wanted to watch a skate video, I mean, go to YouTube right now, and if you want to learn how to kickflip, granted, once your recovery is done, I mean, you can learn how to kickflip within a week just watching, various, tutorials and trick tip videos.
Gotcha.
So I think kids having access to all this different technology, social media and all that other stuff, it's definitely, helping these kids progress, and they're able to see, because skateboarding on the West Coast and skateboarding on the East Coast is completely different.
Really?
Even in other countries. I mean, if you see some of these kids that are coming from Japan, like, the level that those guys are taking skateboarding is on a whole nother.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I think social media, definitely technology, definitely is helping.
Is it one-upping each other sort of thing? Or
no,
is it
it's just different styles.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see, by the way that somebody even throws their board down and starts pushing, where they're from.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's style. That's a big part of skateboarding. Is having your own style and creativity. And all that stuff. So
Who were your influences in the skateboarding world?
oh man, growing up, definitely Joey Brzezinski, that guy. And what's cool is like, you know, your heroes become your friends,
Okay.
you know, type of
That's
thing.
cool.
And like starting Kickflips and Donuts, you know, I've gotten to talk to 9-year-old me, you know, and up, like would have never thought I would have been able to have a conversation with somebody like Joey Brzezinski.
Nice.
And starting Kickflips and Donuts, he's actually, you know, been a big supporter. He owns FP Footwear.
Okay.
He sent out shoes, insoles, and all that other stuff. And, you know, for the most part, is real supportive of what I do. So, yeah, definitely Joey Brzezinski, Eric Costin, Paul Rodriguez, Andrew Reynolds. Yeah, those are like the 4 main staples growing up.
Cool. And you've mentioned several times, but you haven't explained it. What is Kickflips and Donuts?
So Kickflips and Donuts,
Which is a very cool name, by the way.
yeah, I never wanted to call it a company because I don't profit anything off of it. And I didn't want to call it like a nonprofit because I looked into 501c and those things are insanely expensive. And again, I'd like joining the military right after high school. And you spent some time in. So, I mean, I grew up in the military. Like it was just, you know, right place, right time, right uniform, all the stuff, everything that you need to do is pretty much laid out. Unless, you know, you're in a leadership position. And you're laying down those rules and where to be and all that other stuff. But, you know, when I got out, you know, I had no idea how to use my GI Bill.
Gotcha.
I had no idea, you know, like going to buy a car, like when they're hitting me with all these different acronyms and stuff like that, I'm like, dude, what? So
No life skills.
Still-
It teaches you how to do the job.
yeah.
but
No life skills,
Yep.
like buying a house or anything like that. Like, I mean, obviously it's easy to do if somebody breaks it down
Right.
for you. And like, I've had to tell like realtors and stuff like, hey dude, like, I mean, this is different. Like if you want me to strip a Glock or an M4 or something like that, I could do that or teach you how to shoot. But when it comes to stuff like this, like you're going to have to like water it down a little bit and like really explain what each one of these is, you know, cause I'm not in the business of getting screwed over or anything. But, yeah. So I more so call Kickflips and Donuts a community project.
Okay.
The main goal is just to reach out and take care of you know, it started off in my community and just, you know, gradually stretched and covered, you know, I've done pop-up events all throughout Arizona.
Nice.
So, you know, started in the community that I patrol and, you know, doing pop-up events or just going to a random skate park, you know, on the other side of town. And, you know, it's crazy, you know. August 2021 is when everything started, and I mean, we're
A year.
two years.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Sorry.
You know, 2 years. You know, being able to see the impact of what it's done. You know, I'll go to a skate park, you know, in Apache Junction, and there's kids there that know who I am.
Nice.
And all that other stuff, and it's very humbling. You know, again, because I'm just a dude. I just love to skate, and I really love skateboarding more than anything. It's kind of, you know, that vice I think that I was looking for, that coping mechanism that I was looking for when I got out of the military. Because, you know, again, in the military, you experience a level of camaraderie that you'll never experience again. You know, I thought getting into law enforcement, no, it's not. And I thought that's what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, you know, because they quote and push everything to be paramilitary. I'm not saying, I mean, I'm speaking for the agency that I work. I haven't seen anything paramilitary. I mean, what do you get dudes doing 3-count push-ups?
Right.
I mean, but that for the month, that's it. Like, there's nothing paramilitary in there. And I got out as an NCO, as a staff sergeant. And I mean, I've done my time in the military, and I have not yet seen. I've seen dudes, you know, punching in and punching out, and there's no hanging out with your beat worker, you know, your beat partners and stuff like that outside of work. And that's just speaking for my agency.
But that's a lot of parallels. Now, does your agency, do you get a take home?
No.
Okay.
Depending on what division you are. If you're in
units.
specialty, yeah,
Got
of course. Yeah, if you're a detective or, you know, within our SWAT division and stuff like that, yeah, you'll get a take home.
And I've noticed, like, I had a take home, so I didn't hang out with my buddies after work. I went home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got changed in my house in the morning, you know, to go to work, and then I got changed in my house when I was done with work.
Yeah.
And I have noticed that, like, agencies that don't have, they just don't hang out. So, and at the end of the day, I think I think there's been a big push now to not have cop friends. if that makes sense, for your mental health and stuff like that. Like, yes, you have to do the job, and yes, you have to, be together and all that. But yeah, as far as like the military goes, when you're off shift, you're in the barracks with the same people that you were just at work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're stuck with those people until they, in whatever rank up and can move out or get married and move out and move to on-base housing or wherever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in law enforcement, it is everybody goes their own way.
Yeah.
100%. And that's the biggest thing that one of my goals with this podcast is to talk about mental health. And it's like, there needs to be you need to have that I am my brother's keeper mentality, and that's just so lost in law enforcement right now.
Yeah. I saw more so like the camaraderie and the hanging out side more so on the detention side than I did
really
on the sworn side, believe it or not. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's and I have no reason, or I have no idea why that is, but I don't know. Yeah, there's some guys that just don't know how to turn the switch off. And that's why I said, I'm so grateful that, 2 years ago I was able to find skateboarding again. I was able to, find a place in skateboarding. I know that I'm not going to be I'm not going to the X Games. Like those dreams and stuff like that I had when I was a kid, all that stuff's done, but having a place and being able to support the youth, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because again, when I got out of the military, it was tough. It was, okay, like nothing against the Army, but my like how they, groomed me to become a civilian again, it was not the greatest. It wasn't, the first month I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is weird, and being able to utilize your GI Bills or go to the VA or anything like that was tough. So, and then finding at different outlets, I've done everything from bodybuilding to CrossFit to long distance running and all that, trying to find that sense of camaraderie. It's there, but it didn't fulfill that gap.
Understood.
And, getting on a skateboard again and, it once all that happened and everything it went away.
That's awesome.
It's nice. So.
When you're pulling up to and you do sometimes go on duty. I've seen your Instagram videos.
If there's a break-in calls, usually I'll keep, like I said, I'll stay within the parks that are within my patrol area, but I'll pop in and check in on the kids. Not every time I go am I, skating or, some kid, filming me skate or something like that. But for the most part, it's just, it's being a sense of a role model or just, some of these kids want to be, have accountability.
Yeah.
Just checking in with them. How's school going?
Yeah.
How's your grades? How's your family doing? What's next? You're getting ready to graduate. Just even if it's something small like that.
That is something that I don't have any experience in law enforcement with because I was a trooper, so I didn't have a beat. I mean, I had an area, but there was 500 linear miles of freeway.
Oh, we know. Yeah, it takes some. Sometimes we'll have to cover.
Right.
Some of the areas because it's like, hey, the next one is coming from, and it's miles.
Zac Rand.
Yeah, it's out there.
And but I didn't get to have that sense of community. I ran into the same person twice in over a decade. So there wasn't that community building and the community policing simply because it was an entirely different type of law enforcement. But at the same time, I do kind of wish I was able to get into the community and that I was able to do those things and make more of an impact. You make an impact in your job when you're taking away the bad guy and making the world a safe place again, whether it's for, a kid, or whoever the case is. But to have that one-on-one connection, especially today, now, like, nobody has it anymore.
Yeah. It's a lost art, and I remember vividly, sitting, when I was going through school, getting my degree in administrative justice studies, one of my professors who actually passed away, 3-4 years ago, he always preached, just the basic art of community policing, getting out of your car or just driving through a neighborhood, not driving, roll your windows down. Mm-hmm. Use your senses, your sight, your smells, just be a part of the community, have a conversation because, I've talked about this, with people in the past is, some people don't want to call 911 they feel like their problem isn't big enough to contact 911 or maybe they just, like I said, they don't want to contact 911. But if you build that relationship with somebody, if hey, I'm driving through this area and I see this guy, every, let's say you work Tuesday through Friday, every Wednesday evening, he's out there picking his weeds and you stop and have a conversation with him. You build a relationship with him. You build that trust with him. You may have changed that guy's perception to where now he's now he's, you know, reaching out like, hey, look, like, you know, that next Wednesday that you go and have a conversation with him, hey, you know, down the street, like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Or
they're going to know their neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you know the people in your neighborhood, it's going to be a hell of a lot better.
And it's that small, simple tip. Like, I don't even think it was a tip. I think, you know, Professor Zuliger, you know, when he preached that, I think it was just, you know, him sharing his past knowledge. It was just old school policing. But I really like that just sank in. That just sank into me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, that makes sense. Like, and I've always been like a super social person.
Gotcha.
I've never been shy. Like, you know, if you ask anybody I went to high school with or anything like that, I was always, you know, the one, you know, the class. I don't want to necessarily say like the class clown, but I was very social. And, you know, being able to take that and, you know, I'll have a conversation with anybody anywhere. It doesn't matter.
The art, the verbal judo.
Verbal judo.
Yeah,
or just relating.
Yeah.
You know, just relating with people. You know, I know like one of the tactics like that some of the FTOs do, if they notice that they have somebody, because in this job you have to have social skills.
Yes.
You have to have communicative skills. You know, some of the FTOs, they'll have, you know, people start random conversations with somebody at a gas station. I've used that a few times before, but I mean, it's never been, because me, like sometimes they can't get me to shut up because either somebody knows me or again, you know, I'll see somebody and it could be a pair of shoes, it could be a shirt or something like that. I'm like, hey, you know, hey, those are cool or whatever. Just having that life experience of where I'm at now. And it's done nothing but benefit me in my career.
You know, people like us who don't shut up, you know what we do is we start podcasts and we start talking to people.
Yeah. I've thought about it. Maybe down the road. And
that's one of the things in law enforcement that, you know, in this day and age, like you're dealing with stuff that I never had to deal with. And that is everybody running up to you with a cell phone. Obviously because of your Kickflips and Donuts, you know,
I've had it on the other end a couple of times.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new thing. You know, the First Amendment auditors and all that type of stuff, which I don't have a problem with that when done respectfully. Like I think law enforcement should actually be filmed. Like I never, the couple of times I had it, but I just like, how are you able to process and deal with it both on, you know, the good side and the not so good side? Like, is it something that's prevalent every day and, you know, getting in the way of things? Or
no, as far as like on the other side, like the whole Kickflips and Donuts thing, it's normal now to see that. Like, and then there's some, like the shock factor has kind of went away mostly like when I go to some of these parks, because a lot of kids, you know, either know me or, you know, people have seen, you know, videos and stuff like that. They're more like, oh, you know, whoa, like, you know, and they see, you know, me in action or whatever. I mean, that sounds cheesy saying that, but, you know, but on like the other side, you know, the First Amendment auditors and stuff like that, I've had that happen a couple of times, but I mean, I'm not worried about that. I've always, you know, I know how to do my job. Right. I remain, you know, professional. You know, you're not gonna, again, you know, my time in the military, I've dealt with way worse stuff. You know, that's the thing. You know, I see, you know, people complain about like some of this online training or mandatory training or anything like that, and like it's like, dude, like you wouldn't last 1 second in the military. With some of like the training like that came through, like the sharp training and all this online stuff and getting a, you know, travel pass to do a 4-day and all this other stuff, like this is nothing. So you have not as many rights as a straight up civilian, but you, as a police officer, you have all of your rights, but there are still some restrictions on what you can say and can't say and all that. Yeah. And I just kill them with kindness. Yeah. That's it. Be professional, kill them with kindness. That's it.
It has been amazing. Like I said, I'm fortunate, I'm extremely thankful and grateful for you to come out here and to be on the podcast. And the other deputy who I had on, Frank Slope, it's amazing to see the community rally around good cops. It's amazing to see the community come together. There's a hilarious page on Facebook called Find Frank. So Frank is he's never not known. Everybody knows where he is in this community. But it's really neat to actually, like, you know, I don't know how many thousands of people like it, but I know you've got quite a bit of followers on Instagram, and it's like, that's all positive. That's amazing. That's what
there's some negative that comes in there, but that's with anything.
100%.
You know, and my biggest thing, sometimes I dish it back and I'm like, hey, don't talk crap to a cop that'll beat you in a game of skate in full uniform. I'm wearing, you know, like 30 pounds of extra stuff, and a lot of it's restricting your full mobility. Like, I mean, I go to your page and you're sitting there petting your cat.
Right.
You don't even you don't even know how to push or something like that, like, I mean, you don't have room to talk at this table. So,
And the thing for me is that if somebody comes and says a negative comment, that means they went out of their way
exactly.
to go to my page.
Oh man, I've had a couple people that I'm like, dude, you don't even follow me, man. Like you last commented something trolly like 3 days ago, and then you came back and you left the same comment on like 3 other videos. I'm like,
well, you
dude,
didn't
like,
give him any attention, and he wanted your
I'm like,
attention.
what are you doing, dude? Like, I feel bad for you. Like, you need to get a hobby, man.
Yeah.
You need to get a hobby.
Yeah, he needs to start skateboarding and go outside and see the sun.
Something, do something.
Get out of your parents'
vitamin,
basement.
Get that vitamin D in you.
You know, that's the thing that you've heard the statement, you know, haters make me famous. And again, if you took the time to go and say a nasty comment, awesome, man. Thank you so much. I love it. It's hilarious to me. Because again, I've got no skin in the game, and I'm just doing this for a passion project to help communities out.
Yeah.
So it's all about just bringing the communities together.
I've had a few of them that I've had conversations with, and at the end of the conversation, they're like, whoa, like you are different. It's like, yeah, like
right.
Not everybody's the same, man. And again, starting this, you know, I'm not trying to be like a crazy advocate for, you know, showcasing, like, because a lot of people think it's like a dog and pony show.
Okay.
It's not. Like, I'm not trying to change the perception of everybody. I'm just trying to show you guys, you know, the people out there that want to inside in law enforcement. We're human. Yeah. You know, all of us have you know, come from families. All of us have hobbies. That's it. You know, this is what I do. This is what I truly enjoy doing. I didn't pick up a board for the first time 2 years ago. Right. And, you know, it's been always a huge part of my life, and it's going to be what I continue to do. So
it's who you are, and it's what you do.
It's who I am, yeah.
And it is, I will say, though, that it is very cool that you're allowed to go do these things when you don't have calls waiting or anything like that. Because I can tell you right now, I don't think, even when I was still in that, like, that would have been allowed. You know what I mean? It would have been a lot of, you know, well, you could have made 2 traffic stops. You know, you spent 30 minutes at the skate park. You could have made 2 traffic stops.
It's brought a lot of, you know, and with the Instagram, it's brought a lot of positive attention for my agency, to where it's been kind of like a recruitment tool. You know? Not only just what I could do on a skateboard in full gear, but the obvious, I'm covered in tattoos. Right. So you have some guys, you know, I've had people message me from all over the United States that are like, hey, like, you know, I really, you know, I've had a squeaky clean, you know, record. I just have this tattoo. Like, you know, is your agency hiring? And it's like, all right, here's the link. And, you know, it's been one of those things. I've never gotten like full. I mean, I've had a conversation with my boss. My boss is cool with it, and my agency's used me in a couple videos. So that's cool. I'll take that as, you know, hey, they're cool with it. Yeah. But I don't do anything to put a bad taste on my agency. So, yeah, that's the way I see it. You know, hey, you know, if this benefits you guys and it helps me grow my project and my vision and allows me to help more people, then we're both winning. So
I could not imagine, like I said, in the old school days, I think it would have been a problem. But now it's like, this is what community policing is. This is like you just, you know, mentioned before.
And, you know, that's kind of what drove me to start it is, you know, my son got into skateboarding, and I'm a huge believer in like manifestation from one, as well as you know, just like fate, like how things pan out. Yeah. So, you know, growing up, you know, there's been some crazy local like guys that have come out of Arizona that turn out to be some of the most insane professional skateboarders in history. And one of those guys is Aaron Jaws Homoki from the Paradise Valley area. Okay. And, you know, grew up skating around him. And as crazy it was, is my son was going through like that whole YouTube phase, watching like, you know, kids play with toys and all that other stuff. And I was trying to, you know, obviously limit the amount of screen time that he has. But I remember I was in the other room, and I mean, if you're a skater, like, I mean, somebody could skate, you know, in front of the studio now, and I'm gonna, you know, the sound. Right. So I was in the other room, and I hear, you know, the sound of like a skate video, and I'm like, what? And I don't know if it was built on the cue for YouTube. Okay. But, you know, I go out there, and my son is watching somebody that I knew when I was younger doing, you know, one of the most insane gaps in skateboarding history. He hit the line 25, it was huge. And my kid was just glued. He was locked in.
Nice.
And I was just like, hey man, like, do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, because we've tried him in baseball. He hated baseball.
Gotcha.
He's got the same type of like mindset and mentality and personality as me, is like where he's got to always be doing something. Like baseball's not it, right? There's
boring.
a lull. There's a lot of lull in it.
Yeah.
So got him into skating, and I'm like, you know what? Like, hey, you know, Dad used to do this. Like, let's both go get a setup. And the skate shop that I went to when I was a kid, it's still around. It's even, you know, it's grown even more.
Nice.
So shout out to Cowtown Skateboards. Went to Cowtown Skateboards, got us both the setup. Went to the skate park, and yeah, like I said, it was rough at first. It was really rough for me at first, but you know, both of us to, you know, not only have it and share that love for something that you once had, and it's a huge bonding point with your kid.
Now you get to pass it down.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very cool.
So yeah, he's glued in it. That's his thing, and he's been put in. You know, again, very grateful and humbled. You know, with you know the relationships and the contacts that I've built with Kickflips and Donuts, because you know when I was 15, 16 years old, you know, seeing like guys like Ryan Sheckler, not knowing like I would build like a friendship with those guys
Nice.
and stuff like that. So my sons got to skate, you know, with, you know, Ryan and his brother Shane, more so with Shane, and just getting to share that love, that passion.
That's very cool. That's heartwarming, and it's very cool to hear and see.
Yeah.
So then I love the positive influence on the community.
That's it. That's what it's all about. That, you know, at the end of the day. So, you know, seeing like the different aspects of community policing that some agencies have. And, you know, one of the popular ones is like Shop with a Cop and Coffee with a Cop and all that other stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But I'm just like looking at that and I'm like, you know, that's great. But, you know, where are we, you know, the youth is, it's the future.
Yep.
It's the future. And you'll see, and this isn't taken away from any other law enforcement officers, because you see guys getting out of their car, playing soccer, playing basketball, and all that other stuff. But you weren't seeing, you know, law enforcement officers getting out of their car and going and skating with these kids.
No way.
Since Kickflips and Donuts has been born, I mean, I have seen, you know, guys, you know, older clips or something like that, or, you know, there's a guy on the East Coast, Ryan Christian, who is like in Virginia Beach. He does something similar.
Okay.
But I just wanted to take it and like inject it anabolically and just make this thing like huge and just make this, you know, what I do. And yeah, Kickflips and Donuts was born, and obviously, like anything, like you start a podcast, you start any kind of new trade or something like that. And for me, it was like, you know, a community project, you know, taking the skills that I've learned, you know, that I learned in the military, you know, and just putting them forward and trial and error and learning. And, you know, it started off with making skate wax and the proceeds from that and t-shirts and all that other stuff. 100% goes right into, you know, going and buying boards and skate equipment for some of these kids.
Nice. Are you sponsored?
I'm not. No.
That'd be cool
I've
if you did get
sponsored kids,
sponsored.
though.
Okay.
I sponsored guys, you know, so I was able to. So there's a local ripper by the name of Eric Griggs that lives, you know, not too far from me. This guy is this guy is super technical, super good, has a very promising future in skateboarding. And, you know, once a year, Cowtown puts on the Phoenix Am at Desert West Skate Park, and got to pay for his admission to do that, as well as make sure that all of his, you know, gear and all that other stuff was up to par. That way he can perform at his best.
Nice.
So, and then there's other, you know, kids that I come across. So, you know, since August of 2021, I think we're at 427 boards donated.
Oh, nice.
So
Very
that's
cool.
just based off of like the proceeds from the shirts. Don't really do the skate wax once in a while, if like people ask for it and stuff like that, but that's not like the main thing. It's usually shirts, hats. Got to build a relationship with Brandon Bills. Brandon Bills makes the hats. So, yeah, they're local here to Arizona. They've done a lot to help, but yeah, 427 boards, and you know, I want to keep going with it, keep it growing.
What do you need the most to continue to grow?
I think it's just time. Honestly, it's just time and traveling. You know, going to California, that's a mecca of skateboarding. And getting on it and, you know, sharing my story with, you know, different different groups, right? Like the tactical side of everything. I mean, there's people that have hit me up that are, you know, they do podcasts, but their podcasts just, you know, portray towards, you know, talking about times in the service,
Right.
or whatever. I mean, it's going to strike somebody. It's just, you know, whether they want to hear it and shut the podcast off, or they want to keep listening and like, hey, we want to hear more from this guy.
Yeah.
So I think the end goal, I had a clip that got reposted by the Barracks, which is a huge skateboarding page on Instagram. The end goal would be to get on the 9 Club podcast.
The 9 Club podcast.
So it's out there in Venice Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, you got guys like Chris Roberts.
Okay.
Again, that's a dude that I watched growing up. Kelly Hart, Justin Eldridge. Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely tag them in the post and say, hey,
that'd be rad. Yeah.
Get them over there.
They've seen my stuff, you know, but again, right. Yeah. I knew getting into skateboarding, like coming from a law enforcement military family, and a skateboarder, growing up a skateboarder, there's always been a stigma between, and that's why I got into it. It was a challenge. It wasn't just like getting out and like shooting a couple free throws with a kid. Hey, I knew, because I did this when I was a kid, there is a stigma between law enforcement and skateboarders.
Right.
There is.
Totally.
I feel like it's more so, you know, me growing up, more so the beef was like with security guards, you know, because security guards, like, I mean, even now as a law enforcement officer, I've gone to calls where security guards are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you know, whether they're a security guard at a bar or a building or something like that, like legitimately assaulting somebody or taking that escalation of force and going crazy with it. But it was a challenge, and yeah, that's what made me dive into, you know, starting Kickflips and Donuts, just to see, or just to have that challenge and build those relationships with kids and let them see, you know, because even if it's, you know, if I'm skating with like 2-3 kids and they see like, oh, okay, this dude's cool.
Yeah.
And they go share, you know, their story or their experience or interaction with, you know, the next 5 kids that they hang out or skate with. It just goes from there.
One of the things that, this is not a knock on any law enforcement agency. Yes, they do shop with a cop. Yes, they do coffee with cop. You're going to get the ones that like you, that go to those things. That's fine. That's fine. Community support is great. But I think the biggest challenge is getting the ones who don't like you and getting the ones who maybe have a negative perception.
Exactly. Yeah, that was it for me. You know, I don't like to use like income based or anything like that, but it's more so just like what's challenging the youth, right? Like getting out there, being a positive role model.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just because I'm skating with you and you think that I'm cool, I'm not trying to recruit you to become the next deputy or be like, you know, Kickflips and Donuts Jr. Like, that's not it. Like, it's just, hey, I have life experience. I didn't come from a nice neighborhood. I grew up around gangs and drugs and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you know, I went in the military to get away from a lot of that stuff. And, you know, now like my life is good. Like I you know, I didn't have that poor me attitude to where like, you know, oh, this is it. I guess this is it. You know, yeah, that victim mentality. I just kept driving forward, and sometimes, you know, to be able to grow, you have to get uncomfortable. And I'm not gonna lie, when I went into the military, it was kind of one of those last resort things, because when high school was over, I didn't want to go. Again, high school was cool, but it was for like the social aspect of it. Again, like I wasn't like the star quarterback. You know, I didn't have any scholarships to go, you know, play football at BYU or whatever. So, you know, I remember I was given, you know, the choices, the options, like, all right, cool, get a job, pay rent, go to college, join the military, or get out of the house. And I'm like, oh crap. And this was like the 2008, 2009 time frame. And I remember freaking applying to like PetSmart, Target, all that. Nowhere was hiring.
That was during the recession.
Yeah.
So that was when everything was on the downward
trend. And I remember, you know, you said that you were in the Air Force. I actually went to the Air Force first, because more so my military, like as far as like the military side of my family is more so based on like the Marine. Okay. So I come from like a heavy Marine Navy family, and a lot of my relatives never really talked about their time in service. I've always like grew up playing with GI Joes and all that other stuff, but never really talked to them about it. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But you know, all those failed attempts of trying to get a job at like Fry's or PetSmart, couple friends that I grew up with, their older brothers that were in the service and stuff like that. They're like, hey, go to this branch, go to this branch, go to this branch. The first branch that I actually went to was the Air Force, and they turned me away, and I had like a little tattoo, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to send this packet in to get approved, and this, that, and the other. It could be 8 months. I'm like, dude, I don't have 8 months. Like, the authority under my household like is real. Like, if I do not find something, like, I'm gonna end up like couch surfing. So yeah, and then I went to the Marine Corps, and my only perception of what the Marines was watching Full Metal Jacket, because again, my cousin and a lot of other family members that were in the Marine Corps, that was during like the invasion time, so they would come back completely different, not only physically but just mentally. Yeah. And they didn't really talk about. I saw the after effects. It's
about Fallujah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a cousin that was actually that was in Fallujah that ended up getting shot in Fallujah, and going from I saw that guy go from one extreme to the other, like Cheeto finger, Xbox, Mountain Dew pounder, to like just this statue, of this, Marine that was just cut up, like dude, like, you're the real deal, like, you're the real G.I. Joe type of thing. And just watching it, like I said, yeah, like that Cheeto finger dude to, like, in my eyes, before getting into the military, a war hero, and then after you get shot, like barricading the front door and like sleeping next to the front door. And I'm like, whoa. So I went to the Marine recruiter, and he found out who my cousin was, and he was doing like the frog voice and all that. I'm like, dude, like, what? I'm in a white t-shirt and jeans right now. Like, well, you're on another level, dude. Whatever caffeine that you had, like, I need some of that. But no, and then I just led into the Army, and they're like, yeah, you want to be all you can be, here you go. Like, showed me all the cool videos, and that was it. But yeah, I have those life experiences to be able to share that with kids. And I've had kids reach out to me, whether it's, from one extreme to the other, if it's just life advice, if it's, hey, I have an interest in art, like, where can I take this? And just doing, being a big brother, not trying to step in and be anybody's dad or anything like that, because I don't want to look I'm not that old, but just being like a big brother and a mentor, and just being able to answer that. Skateboarding is always going to be there. A lot of kids, hey, how do we become sponsored? Like, you just skate because you love to do it, and the rest will take its par. If you're going to go somewhere, there's always a place. Skateboarding, the door's open for anybody. It is, no matter what background or anything like that you have. Just do it because you love it, and the rest will work itself out. But, in the meantime, bills got to get paid. So if you have a passion of art, art, music, a lot of stuff correlates with skateboarding. So, if you want to do art, you look in, there's been times where I've done research, and it's like, hey, dude, like, this school is open up. This is how you get a grant or whatever, and get into school and get things rolling, man. Because your place in skateboarding may not be a professional skateboarder, because I feel like, 1-2% of professional skateboarders actually make like a crazy killing living. A lot of them, especially the ones that live out in California with the cost of living, are not living comfortably. That's you have your name on a board, though, anybody growing up skateboarding, like, having your name on a board is like the holy grail. But a lot of these guys, are sharing vehicles or living in like small apartments and stuff like that.
They have to live in California because of the scene.
Yeah, and the spots and the history and all that other stuff. But yeah. So it's just being a mentor for these kids.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that's what, like I said, that's what it's all about. And it's just making a positive influence and just trying to change the image of law enforcement as a whole, and just being part of the community.
Yeah, that's it.
I do believe the older I get and the more separated I am from it, I do believe that I think more officers should be encouraged to live in their neighborhoods that they police, or kind of like parallel to it.
Yeah, and I'd say I do. I mean, the park that I go to, most of the time, it's the same park that I go to when I'm off of duty.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm not just throwing a board down and doing all these tricks and stuff like that on work. Like, I skate most of the time, like, off duty. So yeah, I mean, these kids see me in and out of uniform. I've had messages come in where, kids are asking for life advice. Their parents don't understand, why they like to skate so much, and they think it's stupid or a waste of time and stuff like that. And just kind of being that reassurance having those reassuring conversations with, you know, kids and just giving them a sense of purpose and hope and getting them to drive forward, and just hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, they become a positive side of our future and our community.
I can't even imagine what the first time must have been like when they saw the patrol
I
car
remember,
coming
I
out.
mean, they saw me come in and they're like, oh crap, like who's he here for type of thing. Because I mean, the agency I work for doesn't necessarily have a skate park in our, jurisdiction. I mean, it technically, but not technically. It's
Understood.
within a city. And I don't know if the city agency, when they usually go in there, they're like, you know, crazy enforcers or whatever. They're there for other reasons. But, you know, I went in there and like looked around. I'm like, you know, let me see your board. And they're like, oh, you know, don't hurt yourself. And you do something in front of them. They're like, wait a minute, what the heck? And it's like, yeah, I do this. So it's cool. It's cool. Like I said, I mean, the element of surprise is kind of gone a little bit now. But, you know, again, if I could do these things, obviously I'm not going to go to California or another state wearing my agency's uniform, doing stuff like that. But yeah, just keep it growing. I want to do more like, you know, videos or skits with like some of the local professionals and stuff like that. And, you know, whether it's comedy or something like that. So
Kind of penchant for the theater then, huh? Nice.
Yeah, again, I think it just falls in with being social, just showing like, hey, like a humor side of things or whatever, but something cool at the same time. So,
and it gets you out of your house. It gets you in the sun. It gets you socializing. It gets you doing things that, like, you're probably of the age as well. Like on Saturday mornings when I'd wake up, I'd go ride my bike around the neighborhood, and wherever all of the bikes were at the house, that's whose friend's house we were going to.
Yeah, I remember those days.
You know, not just sitting in your house and staring at a freaking cell phone all day long.
Yeah. And I think that's what I combat the most, like with some of the negativity that I've dealt with is, you know, some people just unfortunately they weren't brought up like that to where they were outside socializing. So all the information and stuff that they're getting is off of their phone or a tablet or something like that. Or, you know, it's unfortunate that some of these people that have huge platforms are disseminating information not off of their own personal experiences or what they've seen or what the media portrays.
Right.
So
just talking points, and they just regurgitate it.
They regurgitate it, and they're like, oh my God, this dude said this, and he's the best at this sport. Oh, we're going to go ahead and just believe everything this guy says, and blah, 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 you know, and it's unfortunate because that's not how it is.
Right.
So don't get me wrong. Like, I'm the first, like, I mean, if there's a guy, you know, and I haven't come across this in my agency, but if there's somebody that needs to be called out and held accountable for, you know, some of their actions, whether it's things that they say or the way that they handle themselves on a call, you know, they need to be held accountable, and I'll have that conversation anytime I come across them. I don't care. Like, again,
that's what's missing.
I mean, I lost that whole, you know, there's a chain of command, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there's lieutenants that need to be fixed. There's sergeants that need to be fixed. Chiefs need to be fixed. That may have lost sight or vision of what it's like to work the streets and deal with the community on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah.
I said, and again, it doesn't matter. Speaking from all my friends from all different agencies, there's the boots on the ground that are doing the work. That's in anything, whether it's manufacturing, law enforcement, whatever. Then there's that weird middle management that buffers the top, and then they just kind of feed the top information that they want. You know what I mean? It's like, and then when the chief or the person or the head guy or whatever is saying things, you're like going, where is this person getting their information from?
Yeah.
It's like, and again, that's any corporation, but it is particularly relevant in law enforcement, especially when you're, you know, I do believe that law enforcement has the most important job in the country, which is to strip people of their rights. You know, I mean,
it's a big responsibility, huge responsibility. And that's what, you know, day one, when I was an FTO, I'd have those conversations with, you know, my day one, you know, recruits or trainees. It's like, hey, look, you understand like the amount of responsibility that you have, you know. I don't care what you did before, this is completely different. You know, use your life experiences to be able to benefit your career, but don't use and abuse your power And there's been times, you know, I call myself a bad veteran, and once this, you know, the uniform comes off on the days that I'm not working, like, unless you know, like now it's hard, you know, I go to the mall and like or the gym and people recognize me and they know what I do for a living, but I don't want to be known as that. It's what I do. It's not who I am.
Agreed. Like I'm wearing the Balanced Veterans Network shirt.
Yeah.
My friend's the executive director of this corporation, and I always try to support all the friends that I have that, you know, with different things. But that's like the biggest thing for me. Like when I go out, you can't tell anything. Like that's not how and even from this podcast, like I do want to eventually move away from a point where it's not about what I did, but it's about moving forward and bringing the, you know what I mean? But it is a starting point. It is a foundation, you know, just like your military time is a starting point and a foundation. Yeah. And it does help bring people together, and it does bridge some gaps, you know, some certain things. And again, particularly in the world that I'm in, I got out of the military in 2006. You know what I mean? I was a whole different world, and I was in the Air Force. I never did combat or anything like that. But at the same time, it's a foundation, and I can use it as a platform to talk about.
You learn a lot of life skills. It doesn't
completely,
matter, you know.
But I don't want it to be just my entire identity.
Exactly. That's for me. And I think that's, I think everything just happened for a reason. Cause like I said, I mean, I tested well with different divisions in my agency, and I could have, you know, waited for those opportunities to happen after the testing process. But I think everything just fell into place, and I feel like this is what I need to do. Whether, you know, going into this, rather, you know, ask for forgiveness rather than permission type of thing. But it's not doing anything bad. Yeah. It's not like I don't do anything in uniform, trick wise on a skateboard that I'm not 100%, you know, uncomfortable with. And there's been people that are commenting, they're like, oh, you know, if this guy falls, you know, short-term disability, we're going to pay for it. But I don't need that, dude. I don't. Right. No, you know, I'm okay. Yeah. You know, I don't need that.
You'll take the risk.
I'll take the risk. It's showing a different side. You know, it's entertainment for some of these kids, and again, it's bringing more people towards it and having those conversations. And I think that's why, like, I never really a lot of people are like, hey man, like with everything growing, why haven't you done like a website or gone through like a second party to distribute your shirts and stuff like that? And then I'm like, well, then you lose like all that point of contact with the people that support you. So, I mean, it is a little strenuous. Like usually like every month or every other month, I'll do a shirt release, and it's like a limited drop. I'll usually do like a pre-order for like people that want, you know, specific sizes, everything, you know, ranging from like onesies to,
that's cool,
you know, big shirts. So I'll put those pre-orders up for like a week or so, and then, you know, the rest I'll kind of just do onesie twosies or like more popular sizes and stuff like that. And I've never gone I did do the website for a little bit, and then again, I'm not a technology guy, and it ended up crashing. But you lose that connection with people, you know, thanking them. You know, not every order that I'm able to get out can I do like a handwritten note, but if somebody's like, hey, can I do an XL, and it's like, hey, thank you so much for, you know, supporting what I do. Hopefully you enjoy the shirt, and just know, like, you know, not only are you supporting me by wearing that, you know, once a week, or if you're going to hang it up or whatever, but, you know, that went towards helping, you know, somebody in the community continue to do something that they're passionate about.
That's very cool.
So
that's really, really cool. And I know you had said that you're on a time constraint, so I didn't want to take up too much of your time. So you've given me a little over an hour of your time.
Oh, right on.
And I said, I didn't want to, and you made quite a drive to come out here, so I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. The opportunity to come on. This is rad.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm glad to be kind of your first.
Yeah. The other one was, like I said, through Zoom, and I mean, I probably look like an idiot, like the camera all like up in my nose and all that stuff. But no, this is cool. This is cool.
I appreciate you coming out here.
Absolutely.
What's the next steps for Kickflips and Donuts?
Like I said, just keep doing my thing. You know, more so the clips that I post, like the videos that I post in uniform doing tricks and stuff like that. Those are the ones that are getting over 1 million views. That's and that awesome. Are making the page grow. So it's just it's way hot right now.
That's awesome.
Way hot. Gonna be in a local magazine called Skate Mag Info. Doing some photography shots and stuff like that. With a guy named Dax that runs that. Plan for the next shirt releases and keep doing what I do, pass out boards, help those out, be a mentor. That's it.
Very cool.
That's it. And then, yeah, hopefully get on the 9 Club. Once I get on the 9 Club, that's it. I'm going to have like a party with just, it's going to be the 9 party. Like there's just going to be a bunch of 9 balloons everywhere. Like that's like the holy grail. Like right now, like the 9 Club is the Joe Rogan.
I was just going to say that.
Skateboarding podcast. Like that's it. That is the podcast for skateboarding. So getting on there and, you know, having a conversation with those guys, because a lot of those guys they're veterans in the game, like Chris Roberts, you know, Justin Eldridge. Those are guys that I watched growing up. And, you know, I know, like I said, I know the stigma of law enforcement and skateboarding, but just for them to be like, wait a minute, like you skate, you don't just roll around like, you know, all awkwardly, like you skate, and but you do this, and you don't abuse the power that's been given to you as a law enforcement officer, and you actually use it to benefit your community. So that's it.
Awesome, man. Leave us with some words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Just be a good human. Be a good human. There's somebody out there always, you know, and you know, check in with your buddies. You know, if you're a veteran or a law enforcement officer, just shoot that person that you don't talk to or see on a daily basis just a message. Or, you know, chivalry is not dead. You know, see a lot of it. It's unfortunate. You know, if there's a gal or just somebody walking behind you, hold the door open for them. Ask somebody how their day's going, or tell somebody that you're proud of them. You don't necessarily have to. It could be at the gym. It could be at the Kohl's. It could be at, you know, Cane's. It could be wherever. Just reach out to somebody. Just, you know, give them a compliment. Hey, I really like those Jordans that you got on. Those are awesome. Those remind me, you know, who knows? You could make a new friend, or, you know, you don't know what kind of day that person's having, and that compliment that you had just redirected, you know, what their intentions were maybe for the rest of the day. It just changed the whole pendulum of how their day's going. So
awesome. And where can you be reached at?
So I don't know. I have a TikTok.
Okay.
It's a pretty big following on TikTok, but I don't understand the algorithm or how the heck that works. Like TikTok, I think they'd rather watch people like dance and do like weird trends and stuff like that. So I kind of stay off of TikTok.
Gotcha.
But Instagram, Kickflips and Donuts.
Kickflips and Donuts.
Kickflips and Donuts.
Awesome.
Donuts, Donuts. So Kickflips and Donuts.
We didn't even make a cop joke and a donut joke. Like, we didn't even do that.
You know what? And that's the thing. People are like, hey, what's your favorite donut? And I'm like, I'm not really big into donuts. Like the whole Kickflips and Donuts, it all started with like kickflips. It's like, oh, boom, there's a shot to skateboarding. Donuts, boom, there's a hidden, you know, cop innuendo, whatever you want to call it, you know, and to put them together, and it kind of flew. And, you know, in the beginning, I'm like, God, this sounds kind of lame, like Kickflips and Donuts.
I think it's awesome.
But yeah, a lot of people are like, you know, like donut operator. There's a lot of guys that follow my page, and, you know, they know who I am. And it kind of just stuck. And then the logo, you know, with work, you know, the first draft of the logo is kind of like, and then it kind of just grew from there, and that's it. So
very cool, man.
Yeah, I don't really mess with donuts too much. If I do, it's like a Homer Simpson one.
Okay.
And there's the best donut for any cop that's listening to this. If you ever make your way into San Diego, there's a place called Donut Bar San Diego. They have the most outrageous, insane, creative, best donuts in the world.
Nice.
Absolutely insane. Local here in Arizona, probably Bosa. Bosa takes a cake. Krispy Kreme and what's the other one? Dunkin'. Yeah, they're lame.
They're old school stuff.
Yeah, they're lame. You got to go to like Bosa here. Yeah, I'd say Bosa here.
I got to say, I'm a basic white girl when it comes to like pumpkin spice donuts and pumpkin spice.
Oh, you do
cupcakes.
That stuff?
Oh, I'm total. Yeah.
Wow. It's either like, glaze. Again, I try not to eat donuts.
Right.
Glaze,
same here,
or like the Homer Simpson, like strawberry, frosted, sprinkled. Yeah, those are good.
Awesome.
Those are good.
Well, thanks, man. I sincerely appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you inviting me out, man. Definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.